Hey guys, as requested by many of you, here's the absolute easiest workflow for building an app with an AI agent inside of it. I'll show you how to build your own agent that interacts with the user. You can include an AI agent in any app to make it learn and adapt to the user behavior. If you're watching this, you're one of the few who will be ahead of the market in 2026. Let's dig in. Hi, my name is Jad. I lead a community of product builders pushing the boundaries of AI. Today, I'm gonna help you get a better understanding of what goes into building an agentic product, an app that learns and adapts. I have a powerful and easy workflow for you. Powerful because it allows you to build agentic apps that have an AI agent built into the backend, and easy because I've been working on optimizing this workflow for the past 5 months. And after a lot of trial and error, I'm giving you the absolute essentials. This is not just about plugging in your ChatGPT API. I'll show you how to build the automations and the framework that your AI agent will work with. And a quick note, this video is sponsored by Hostinger because I use n8n to build all my AI agents. And Hostinger provides the cheapest way to self-host your n8n server. More about that later in the video. Today we're going to build an agentic planner. Agentic means it learns and adapts and accordingly performs actions. You can apply this method to any app, you can make any idea agentic, and it will drastically improve the product. Agentic apps reduce the user friction and improve user satisfaction. Because the AI is doing the work, the user can input literally anything, and the AI agent will do the heavy lifting. Let's start by quickly making a plan. I'm gonna start in FigJam. Let's lay out the idea and then we'll fill in the user flow. We're gonna start with user input and then we're gonna end with a to-do list. Now to get from here to here, we're gonna have an AI agent that will take the user input, work with it, and then output a list that the user can then see and verify and accept or deny. So the next step after user input, we're gonna have an AI agent that will analyze and understand the intent of the user. But in order for this agent to also be able to learn from the user, it's gonna need to take in the database that is saved so that the agent knows everything about the history of the user before coming up with a solution. So here we're gonna have analyze prompt and then analyze database. So the output is gonna have a to-do list and then a summary and then edit, accept, discard. We'll call this plan. So the goal here is to have a plan for the user to manage their schedule. It can be as simple as this. The agent here will keep learning from what the user does and it will feed it back into the database. I'm gonna add one step, gonna save to the database at the end. And this will be the main flow of the app. And now we'll jump straight into building the automations, just a high level flow, and then we'll modify those nodes with the help of Google Gemini. To get started with n8n, just click the link in my description, and there you'll see the plans that Hostinger is providing for n8n servers. As of filming, they're still running a huge discount for Cyber Week, so make sure you catch it. Here you can pick any plan that you want. The KVM2 is more than enough if you plan on building multiple agentic apps, or you can go with the KVM1. This is a very good price when you compare it to the plans that you get from n8n directly, which could cost $24 a month. And when you pick a plan, make sure you use my code aitools for an additional discount. This is the best price you could ever get, and with my code you'll knock the price even further by 10% if you go for the 24-month or the 12-month plan. So just $5 per month will keep your app running 24/7. You will even get a free domain name with your subscription. This discount is seriously impressive, and it's that easy. Once you're in, you'll see this manage button at the top that will take you directly to n8n to create an account. Alright, so once you're in n8n, click on create workflow at the top. And here we're going to build the high level flow of the app that we just planned. So we're going to start with user input, and this is what will trigger the whole flow. So we're going to click on add the first step, which will always have to be a trigger. And since we're building a UI for this app, the trigger is going to always be a webhook. A webhook is a node that will communicate with your UI and it will send and receive data. So all you have to do here is search for webhook, and when you see this little lightning icon, that means it's a trigger. And here you can set up your webhook trigger. Don't worry about this for now. Let's build the next step in the flow. The next step is going to be the AI agent. You can add any AI agent you choose. You have OpenAI or Anthropic or Gemini. I'm going to go with OpenAI here. From the options here, I'm going to select message a model. And I'm going to leave it empty as well. And make sure you have your OpenAI account connected with n8n. To do that, make sure you save and then go back to your dashboard. And at the top where it says create workflow, there's a drop down that says create credential. And here you can add any API to connect AI to your account. If you search OpenAI, it will ask you to include this information, but I added it already. It's super easy, you just follow the prompts and fill in your API information. And within credentials as well, you need to set up your database. I'm using Google Sheets here. You can also add a credential for your Google Sheets account. Follow the steps and it will be configured for your account in any flow that you create in the future. All right, back to our flow. We have two nodes now. One is OpenAI and one is the webhook. After that, we need the output of the AI to be a to-do list plan. And to be able to send the correct data back to the UI, we're going to need a code node. Just search for code and then add it here. We'll say code in JavaScript. Close it up. And now since we have to analyze the database before the AI agent step, I'm going to add a database before this node. So I'm going to click here, plus, and I'm going to go for Google Sheets. And I'm going to say get rows. This means it will get the information from the database. And we also need to save the information to the database at the end of this flow. So I'm going to add one here before we send the information back to the UI. I want to save everything to the database. So I'm going to search for Sheets again. And this time I will say append or update a row in Sheets. Now to be able to work with the information that comes out of the AI model here, we need to parse it with another code node. This is essential so that we can convert the AI output into usable data for the UI. So I'm going to add another code node here. And let's rename each node so that we stay organized. You can click at the top of each node here. I'll say this one is get history. And then this one is parse data. And I'll call this save to database. And this one will be send data to UI. This way your workflow will stay organized, and it will also help you to plan this when you're working with AI to configure each node. Now don't worry about making this perfect, we're just creating the skeleton here, and then we'll configure everything with the help of AI. Okay, I'm gonna call this agent planner, and I'm gonna grab a screenshot of my plan along with a screenshot of the flow that we have in N8N, and I'll give them to Google Gemini so that we can start configuring the nodes. Okay, so now I said I want to build a plan for planning an AI agent, and I explained a bit what it does. Then I said, ask me any clarifying questions necessary. Then I said, give me the first step to start configuring the nodes. And I attached the plan and the N8N nodes that we built so far. And I also mentioned that I'm using OpenAI and Google Sheets so that it gives me the appropriate step-by-step guide. And then I said, once I'm done with the first step, we can move to the next one. Okay, so now it's giving me a few questions to answer. I'm gonna answer them with you so that you get the reasoning behind each answer and why I'm answering the way I am. This will help you when you're answering your own questions. The first question is telling me that my nodes are not in the correct order, which is fine because my nodes that I built are not set in stone. So I'm gonna go with the second answer here, which is only save to the database after the user confirms it in the UI. And I also mentioned that my N8N workflow is not final. We can change anything. The second question is, when we're getting the history from the database, it's telling me that there's a concern if we get the whole sheet. But I don't mind that. We want to get the whole sheet so that the AI can learn from the whole history of the user. So I'll mention that. And for the third question, it's asking me if I want a simple text block for the output. But I don't want that. I want the plan to be displayed for the user in the UI, organized with a checklist. So I'm gonna ask for a structured JSON list. I said structured JSON list to display properly in the UI. And then I'm gonna ask for step 1 again, just to make sure that it's covering all of the answers that I just gave. Okay, so it was a good call because now it's telling me that we have a structural change to the plan based on my answers. And the nice thing about using Google Gemini is that it is integrated with Google products, so you can directly export to Sheets from your account here. I'm just gonna click on export to Sheets, and there we go. It created a sheet for me in my account with the appropriate columns. I'm just gonna rename it here, call it Agent Planner. And now once I created the sheet, I can go here to my Google Sheets node and I will see the Agent Planner is available. So I'll select it here and there's only one sheet in it. Let's rename it as well. I'll call it sheet 1. And then we have the part B of this first step, which is to delete the save to database node, because we don't need it in this workflow. So I'm gonna delete this one. And now the last part of this step is to configure the get history node. So I'll double click on it here, and I'll make sure that everything here is set up just as it's telling me here. We have the resource and the operation is read. Read is get rows. That's the same thing as read. And then we have the sheet that we're working with. And then we're gonna have to set up the output formatting. We have to toggle on the format output. To do that, we're gonna click on add option here. And then we have output formatting. Now you see I don't have that toggle that Gemini is telling me to turn on. So I'm gonna ask it, what should I do? I'll just grab a screenshot of this. I'll give it to Gemini and I'll explain the issue. So it's telling me to change it to values formatted. So I'll go here, I'll say formatted, and I'll leave the other one as is. And then it's telling me how to test if it's working. But I cannot test this yet because I don't have any data coming in because I didn't build the UI yet. I'll just make sure that I follow all the steps as it's telling me, and then I'll test it all later on when we build the UI. I said I'll test this later when we have the UI, but for now let's move to step 2. Okay, now moving on to step 2, we're gonna start setting up the AI node. And of course, follow the steps that your AI chat is telling you because each product is different. But I'm showing you my example here. So here it's giving me all of the instructions to include in the AI node. And back in Anytone, I'm gonna double click on the AI node. And here I'll just copy everything just as it's telling me. And to pick a model, I'm gonna go to the API pricing from OpenAI to choose the cheapest model so we can do some testing without costing too much. So I'm gonna go for the GPT-5 Nano here. I'm gonna select it from the list. And it's telling me to set the output to JSON object, and I have it as a toggle here. I'll turn it on. And then I'm gonna enter the prompts to give the AI. So this system message, I'm gonna just copy this whole thing. I'm gonna paste it in the prompt field. And I'm gonna set this as a system. And then we have a user message. So I'm gonna add another message here, and this one will be user, and I'll paste in this prompt. Okay, I set everything up. Now I'm gonna take a screenshot just to verify that I did everything the correct way. I'll copy this whole thing, and I'll ask it if it's correct. Okay, everything is fine, but there's one issue here that it's telling me to go to the settings tab and toggle this execute once option. I didn't know it was in settings, but yeah, there it is. Perfect. Okay, and it's telling me now I need to delete the next node because OpenAI is doing all the parsing. So this node is done, and this one needs to be deleted. Now we can send this data straight to the UI. Now that I'm done with my nodes, I need to test it, so I need to start building the UI. And to do that, I'm gonna ask Gemini to give me a detailed prompt that I can give to the AI building tool. I'm gonna use Lovable because it's the most reliable and it has all the options that I need. But first, let's ask Gemini for the prompt. I said, give me a prompt to build the UI with an AI coding tool. Okay, it gave me a prompt that I can use with any AI coding tool. But first, to be able to test my innate and automations, I'm gonna tell Gemini to include my webhook URL in the prompt. So just go to your webhook here, and all you need to do is click on this URL, which is unique, so that the UI can communicate with your end-to-end automations. I just said modify the prompt to include the webhook URL. But obviously you can do that from the beginning. I just forgot this step. And there we go, we have a new prompt here and it includes my webhook URL. I'm just gonna copy this. I'll go to Lovable, and here I'm gonna paste the prompt as is. Okay, so I fixed a few things based on what Gemini told me, and we cleaned up the workflow in N8N. So this is the workflow now. It's very simple. This is what it looks like. I'm gonna click execute, and back in my UI, I can enter anything here now. I'll click generate, and here it's working. And there we go. I can see now that it gave me a list of tasks based on my input and based on my history. Now that everything is working, I can go back and ask for the next step in order to save everything to the database. And here are the steps to follow. What I'm looking for now is a workflow that will work when I click on this confirm plan button in the UI. This will tell it to save it to the database. Right now, nothing happens when I click it. So here we're going to create a new workflow to be able to save everything to the database. So now let's try it again. I'm going to click execute workflow here and submit the prompt. Now before I click this, I'm going to go to my second workflow to be able to test it. And then back in the UI, I click confirm plan. And here it says plan saved. And in my workflow, I can see that it's green. And then in my database, I can see that it's working. Okay, perfect. So far, I was able to generate a plan with AI, and I was able to save it to the database. Now for the final step, I need to be able to see my plan in the UI. So this will be my third workflow to be able to display the plan. Okay, I just followed the instructions. I created a new workflow that is called Get Saved Plans. And it's very simple. It will communicate with the UI through this webhook, and it will get my plans from my Google Sheets. And now back in the UI, whenever I open the app, it's gonna show me my past plans at the bottom here. And this will work automatically without a button. That means I did turn on this workflow as active. That means it will keep listening. It will keep looking for that call to be made from the UI at all times. So whenever I open the app, it will get everything from the database. And now I can see here that I have my plans, and I can click on it and I can see all the tasks in that plan. So now the app is working correctly. It will generate plans for you. It will save plans to the database, and it will show you your plans from your previous requests. Now the backend is complete. We built an AI agent, and we built the engine that the app will work on. All you have to do next is improve the usability and the UI. Let me know how it goes for you, and if you have any questions, I'll answer everything down in the comments as usual. I promise. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!